Hi everybody, welcome to YS Kong Driving Channel, and today we're going to look at how we're going to give our car a check. As you know, the Chinese New Year holidays is coming around and there's going to be a lot of traveling. So some of you may be traveling long distances, and I hope by now you have got your car to a service center and checked all the things that need to be checked. However, if you haven't and you can't get a workshop to check it for you, then here's a few simple tips on how you can do it yourself. It won't be the best checkup, but it is still a checkup. At least you get some basic things checked. Okay, the first thing you need to do is to check the engine bay, and to do that you need to open the engine bay. Well, most of you know how to open it, but if you have never opened it before, usually there's a lever at the bottom here. I'm going to pull this lever, and that was the sound of the bonnet popping. Now, most of the car bonnets would have the lever somewhere around here for most of the cars, yeah, because it's always on the driver's side. But if you have a Continental car, maybe it's found on the other side. But usually it's just a simple lever. All right. Now, we're going to figure out how to open this front bonnet. Now, if you have popped it and you find it's loose, but it won't open. Why? Because there's a safety hook in there. It's somewhere here, and it's there so that in case your bonnet ever pops while you're driving, it won't fly up and whack your windscreen and blind you. So this is a safety catch, and for this car, there's a little lever here, and that opens. See here? This little lever, usually the cars will have it here, 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 but if you peep under, you can see. And some car companies change this to a different color so it can be easily seen. And what it does is there's this simple hook which hooks onto here. See how it hooks up? And that's the catch. Then you open it. Some cars will have a little shock absorber here to hold the bonnet up, but this one has got this little handle, and you see this white stuff here. It fits into a square hole here. And if you need to open the bonnet even more, they have made another one. This is so that if you need to do major repairs. But normally if you put it up here, it's okay. But since we already put it there, we leave it there. Alright. So now we are ready to start looking at the elements in the engine. Okay. The first thing you want to check, of course, is engine oil. And here is how you look at it. On the engine, you will see this is the oil cap. Okay, it has the sign that shows the oil can, or some of them will have OIL. If it's backwards, it looks like 710. It's OIL actually. Okay, so this is, it's usually very tight. Okay, this one is a bit tight, but anyway, we open it. And this is where you will fill in engine oil, okay? But this is not where you check it. So if you need to fill in engine oil, you use this oil cap. And of course, you got to make sure it's tight, yeah? Okay. To check engine oil, you look around the engine bay and you should see something like this. This is called a dipstick. What it is it's a little level, it's a little stick, and what it does is it goes into this little hole into the engine block, and it measures the level of oil. That's all it is. It measures how much oil you have. It's a little stick that goes into the oil, and if the oil is up to here, it will mark it. So if you pull it out, you'll see some oil on the dipstick, but that's not the level, because you have to actually clean it and do it again. Piece of tissue paper, any brand will do, yeah? Even toilet paper is okay. You clean off this dipstick. Now make sure you don't get this dipstick dirty, yeah? Because if you drop it in the sand, and the sand is here, and you put it back into your dipstick hole, the sand is going to go into the engine and spoil the engine. So this dipstick should be clean, okay? Like this one. See, now I can touch it. There's no more oil. And if we look at the marking here, okay, let's see it against here. There's one hole here and one hole here. Some dipsticks have a line. Okay, this is to show the minimum level, and this is to show the maximum level. The amount of oil that the difference between here to here is usually about 1 liter of engine oil. Yeah, so if you are up to here and you need to top it to here, that means you need about half a liter of engine oil. That's the general indication for a car. For a lorry which has a much bigger sump, this might mean 2 liters. Yeah, but anyway, here's how you do it. After you've cleaned it, you put it into the dipstick hole again, carefully, make sure it fits in, and you push it all the way in, like original position, right? Then you wait for 1 or 2 seconds, then you pull it out again, and let's see what we see. Okay, looking at the dipstick now, you will find that the oil level is right up to the second hole. Okay, it's right up to the second hole. That means there is enough engine oil. If you find it too much, your mechanic did something wrong. There's too much oil in your engine. If you find it below, even slightly below, anything up to halfway is still okay. Your engine will still run. Don't panic, but you can go and get some oil and top it up. Okay, what oil do you get? The same oil that your car maker recommends, yeah, whatever oil that is. And so you put it back. After you've done the checking, don't forget to put back your dipstick, because if you don't put it back, there's a hole there and dirt can go in and stuff like that. Okay, so that's how you check your engine oil, right? So looking around again in the engine compartment, the next thing you want to look at is your brake fluid. This is the brake fluid. Those cars that are manual will have another canister like this, very similar, and that will be the clutch fluid. But since this is an automatic, there is no clutch, and so what is here is the brake fluid, and they have 2 levels. Okay, this is the maximum level of the brake fluid, and what we'll do is we'll open and we find, yes, there is enough brake fluid. In fact, this one is a little bit overfilled by the last person who serviced the car, and that's fine. Now what happens is this brake fluid is part of a system that goes all the way to the brakes, the front and the back. What happens when your brake pads wear is that the calipers will start closing in, which means the oil will actually reduce. And one of the signs of low brake fluid level, or rather one of the indicators, or what it tells you, is that your brake pads are probably worn. Okay, usually if the brake fluid is at a high level and your car has been serviced regularly, it means your brake pads are okay lah. Okay, but just for your, as an indication, if your car has not done any brake pad change for about 40,000 kilometers, it will be time to get them checked. Now, depending on the user, some people can make a set of brake pads last maybe 40,000 or 50,000 or so, but around 40,000 is the time you should check. Okay, and of course there's another way to check the brake pads, but it requires a bit more work. It's not so visual. Okay, then we of course also have the windscreen washer. It may not seem important to you now, but the windscreen washer is a very integral part of driving, because if you can't see the road properly, you will be endangered. So therefore, keeping a clean windscreen is very important. So when you wash your car, make sure your windscreen is clean and wipe the inside too. But if it rains and there's grime and all that, it's good to have windscreen washer fluid, because inside the fluid there is lubricant, and that lubricant helps to get away dust and stuff. If you don't have any lubricant in the washer, your glass can get scratched by dust or sand. You know, you're following another car, sand gets onto your windscreen, gets onto your wipers, and when you wipe it, puts the sand across. Okay, so what do you put inside this windscreen washing fluid? How do you tell is the windscreen washing fluid? It's usually blue or yellow, and there is this sign that shows the windscreen and the fluid. So windscreen fluid. There you are. Okay, you can either put in car shampoo, or you can buy the expensive windscreen washing fluid soap and put it inside. But based on my years of experience, all you need is something that is friendly to your paint. And what is more friendly than food grade dishwashing liquid, which you can buy for 3 ringgit, 4 ringgit in Tesco. So what I'm going to do is, this is a very normal dishwashing liquid. We have some water here, and what you do is you open it, open your windscreen washing bottle, turn it around. Okay, it's good. You squeeze in a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 spoonfuls, and then after that you add water. Okay, you just pour carefully. It's okay to spill a little bit. So you pour in water. Okay, it's full now. And when you next use your windscreen washer, you get the nice soap suds coming out. Okay, so this one can be done every time you drive, or every week or so, depending on how much you use. Yeah, about 1.5 to 2 liters of water there. All right. Now the final thing you should check is, of course, your battery. And somewhere in the engine compartment you will find a battery. Some batteries are at the back, but in the case of this one, the battery is in the front. So how do you check the battery fluid? You can't, because this is a maintenance free battery. So basically you don't have to worry about this battery at all, but there is a life to the battery, and every now and then you should just look at the battery. This is the indicator, and you should see a green light. Okay, you can see very faintly there's a green light inside, and if it turns orange or red, it means it's time to change the battery. Yeah, so there is fluid inside, but it's sealed. So this is what you call a maintenance free battery, which is quite common nowadays. So for the engine compartment, we have done 4 basic things. Okay, we have checked the engine oil level, we have checked the brake fluid, we have checked the windscreen washer fluid and filled it, and we also checked the battery. Now there's one more thing we need to check, and that is the radiator water level. Okay, this radiator, the function of the radiator is to dissipate the heat from the engine. So from the radiator, which carries water, water pumps water through the engine to keep it cool, and then takes the hot water out into the radiator, and that's where you get the fan and the moving air to cool down the heat. That's what keeps your engine running at a constant temperature. Now in our hot climate, if you do a lot of idling or you do a lot of hard driving, you may lose some radiator water. Okay, here I'm going to give you a short explanation of how the system works. We will now look at the expansion bottle. Now this part is the radiator cap, where the original water is put into the radiator, and nowadays they have a very good seal system, so you don't really need to open this. So according to the instructions here, this is where you fill or refill the water. Okay, and there is here you see this is the high level and this is the low level. So never fill this bottle all the way to the top, because this is called the expansion tank, and this region from here to here is for the water to expand. To summarize, we have now looked at 5 items. We looked at the brake fluid, we looked at the engine oil, then we look at the windscreen washer and the battery level, and finally we look at the water level. Okay, so if you check all these 5 basic things, if your car has been running regularly, there's a good chance you will be able to have a trouble-free Chinese New Year week of driving without any major problems. Yeah, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.